I first got to hear the new MQA system when Bob Stewart came by Gateway Mastering Studios last year to demonstrate it, and it was a mind blower in many, many ways. When Bob Stewart came in, it kind of turned the whole Nyquist-Shannon theorem on its head because I have a spectrum analyzer at my studio, and I'm always looking at that from time to time to see, make sure everything's fine with the whole spectrum that I'm dealing with, and to make sure that the spectrum that I think I'm dealing with is there, i.e., by the way. Um, and Here we're playing back a 48 kilohertz 24-bit file, and there's bandwidth on the spectrum analyzer out to 96 kilohertz, and it's kind of a mind blower when you see that. It really turns your head around, and you have to kind of rethink um, the whole ecosystem that we've been living with all these years, and realize that's all possible. And then, of course, as soon as you realize that 44.1 and 48K files um, are streamable, then that obviously makes it possible to stream the highest resolution digital in 44.1 and 48 kilohertz streams. Professionally, it means I'll be happier because when I'm not working, I'll be home listening to streaming services that have MQA and enjoying the music that I love. And then when I'm rested the next day, I can come in and know that my clients and other people around the world are listening to the actual music that I've approved and the artist has approved, and they will get to hear exactly what I'm hearing. The thing about the authentication aspect of MQA is that I can know that the listener at home is listening to the identical analog sound that I've approved and that the artist has approved. And that is so great because you go to YouTube and that you open up a song that you want to hear, and there's 8 different versions of it. With this system, when you're playing back that music and you see the authentication light come on the DAC, you know that you're listening to the exact analog that everyone approved. MQA has many facets to it. And the origami folding, where you can take the super high resolution digital and fold it down to 44.1 or 48 kilohertz, that's a super important part because that allows the streaming to happen. But, and then the authentication is super important because we know that we're listening to the same thing. So when digital technology came about, it introduced a new kind of artifact that wasn't even present on analog tape machines, and that was um, the filters that were necessary in the anti-aliasing filter caused a thing called pre-ringing, which actually is a very unnatural act where you actually hear the impact microseconds before it actually happens. The de-blur algorithm on the MQA is a brilliant way of being able to um, lower that smear and the blur from that attack down to near nothing. And it sounds really amazing. And people are saying, well, I hear about this MQA, and people keep saying that it sounds better than my master. Well, I love my master just the way it is, thank you. How could it possibly be better? And the question is that our brain just has not heard this de-blurring before. And once you hear it, you go, ah, that's what they're talking about. All music can be very healing. And I have found that when you hear the music closer to the way we wanted to hear it in the studio, I think the more the human body responds to it and becomes more of a healing and more of a nourishing thing to our brains. Right now, we're working on a piece from Steve Reich, a reissue of music for 18 musicians. Fantastic piece with a lot of percussion in it. And when I hear the de-blur of the MQA version of that, the xylophones and the marimbas are tactile. You can just, it's as if you were back there in the studio when you're hearing them live. You hear that, I don't know, some envelope around the sound that just is luscious. And to hear that again, it's a very thrilling experience. I thought the recording was good to begin with, and then to hear it, you just go like, oh my gosh, this is the way it really needs to be, and the way I want people to hear it from now on. I have friends that I've exposed the MQA technology to, and they are equally fascinated by it, and they enjoy it just as much as I do. Um, this music for 18 musicians, I played it for Nonsuch and played it for the engineer who did the original recording, and um, their jaws dropped, really. I mean, they were just floored that something that they knew so well and for so long could suddenly have this new life to it. People are still used to, the super varying quality on YouTube and MP3s, and their ears are very attuned to that. And then I think once people start listening to a lot of high resolution audio, um, they're kind of get the earwax out of their ear canals, and their minds will be opened up to this new sound. And the more you get used to this as a common listening device, the older files are going to sound a lot less acceptable to you. And I think people are going to start moving away from that and demand more. You know, there's a magazine called The Absolute Sound, and Harry Pearson, who started it, said that for them the absolute sound is, how does it compare to real live music? And there's no question in my mind that the MQA deblur makes it sound more like the absolute sound. And it's something that we've been looking for my whole career. I've always been interested in good sound, and this certainly furthers that in a big way. And it's in a leap, there's nothing gradual going on to this. It just suddenly, boom, kind of happened. It's a revolution.